Welcome back to Empire of Dreams for the final time. Only 4 levels remain. They are, as they should be, the hardest and arguably the most annoying in the game. And they start with this room that has nothing in it but a load of gems. And then it pretty much immediately moves on to the first really hard puzzle of the level. This is one of those ones that took me a very long time to actually figure out. And unless you go all the way to the end, you're not going to find this block, which, as you might expect, is critical to actually solving the puzzle. It is, I think, a nasty bit of bad design that the block isn't immediately visible either when you enter the room or the first time you fall down, at least. The fact that you have to go all the way to the end of the level, the end of the room, to grab the box is something that I think will end up forcing you to spend much more time in this room than you otherwise would have to if the box was in a more visible place. I'm somewhat 90% sure this isn't the way they intend for you to do this section, but it's good enough for me. Then the issue becomes getting out, which just basically means getting this box up here and then using it to jump over there. Simple, but it took me way too long to actually execute. Clearing this room kind of relies upon you exploiting a few things. Most notably the fact that hitting a box with a wind bullet enables you to walk straight through it. There's nothing up there but an extra life. And of course, put that box way too close to the edge, so we can't actually jump onto that platform there. Once we're up there though, easy life. Now everything's in place just to get up onto that. Get up onto that area. Grab the 5 gems and get to the next area. This is a nice room. Mainly because it marks the return of the waterfalls, which we haven't seen for quite some time, since World 3 I think. And also shows off me being an idiot. Should be fairly obvious what you have to do with this box. Wait for the spike to drop down, then just toss it into him to stop it. There's nothing else interesting in this room, so once you got the star, you're free to move on to the next area. That time switch makes this actually another pretty elegant room. And the autos and the scrolling gets completely screwed over when you're going across the top. Really though, the purpose of all of that is just to get the box. And once we got that, we're free to get the red key. The only key in the level. It is kind of surprising to me that the last few levels of the game aren't. They're not giant levels, which you can pretty much tell, but just by the fact that they don't. Neither of them have all 3 keys. This level only has 1. And really, in terms of pure area, they're not that huge. They're not big levels by any means. They just contain, as they should, for final world levels, some of the hardest challenges and puzzles in the game. So, red key in hand, we can go through this door. And meet one of these assholes. With 1 heart left, I wasn't taking any chances when it comes to dealing with those. Grab blocks. They are impossible to... Grab blocks, they are impossible to... Yeah. That's incredibly annoying, and it happens way more often than you want it to. There's the final star. And herein lies another of my big issues with grab blocks. The fact that it often seems kind of random whether or not they will actually allow you to grab it straight off its anchor, or if it will just straight up drop. So the final star is actually pretty easy. It's a simple feat. Though unfortunately simple doesn't quite describe getting up to the exit. There's not enough height off that block to get up there. While it may seem obvious what needs to be done, it wasn't really to me doing this for the first time. The solution is that. Use the enemy, throw the enemy to hit the switch, and ride up the wind so you're above the block when it cuts it off. And now this world's auto-scroll level. I went on for a long time in the second world about how much I hate vertical auto-scrolling levels. It doesn't matter if it's this game or any other. They have just never agreed with me. And any one of you who's actually watched the unedited version of this that I posted in a thread, you'll know pretty much the pain that this caused me. This is long after I decided just to screw it, ignore the gems completely, and just head straight through. This section, however, it caused me absolutely no trouble whatsoever. It's being horizontal auto-scroll, it's nice and easy to keep up with. I can see where the limit is. I know how much time I have. These are things that are just completely... they're just completely missed in vertical auto-scrolling sections. Because the game can't kill you just for touching the bottom. So it raises questions about where the actual limit is. And also have a look at the lives counter. Remember that I left the horizontal scrolling section with 13 lives. The 1 has now disappeared from that. And it is complete memory at this point. But thankfully it got done. And unlocks the final boss. There's nothing up there but a exploding block and a boomy in here for the sole purpose of using said exploding block. A few gems up here. And you can't throw the boomy straight across and just grab it because there's spikes over there, which will explode it. I'm not sure if it's unfair or brilliant, but it's only for 5 gems. And now here's a world of fun and games trying to get this block through the hole. Obviously the easy way of doing this is just to stand on that step right there and toss it through, but doing things the easy way never really been my style. And now more fun with grab blocks. It's pretty much impossible to make it to jump up onto that ledge without it attaching to the bottom of the anchor point. And now more fun with how unpredictable the grab blocks sometimes are. You'd have thought that when it got thrown back over, it would have reattached to the anchor point, but no. Thankfully though, it does stick when you toss it over there, and grabs the foot, and it gives us the first star. Now this section is a giant pain in the ass, because getting that grab block down is not easy. Unless you remember that you got the enemy at the beginning here. And you can just stack up the boxes. Enter a rotating room. This I think has the most exits of any of the rotating rooms in the game. There are 4 ways of getting out of this room. 2 of them are blocked off by keys. Triangle key there. There's a circular key door on the other side. And then the one door which contains a path leading to a key. The red key, actually very easy to get. just drop over here. And this puzzle is a bit of a nightmare. If you've ever played the Mega Man games, and really you should have, then you'll be familiar with the disappearing block platforming sections. And this does pretty much the same thing, using the grab block to trigger a switch every now and then as it bounces up and down. So instead make my priority grabbing the priority is not to jump up into the star, but instead to get to the boomy so you can drop down onto the star. It's a bit deceptive, but if you actually take the time to look at the equipment you have, and it's just proof that the only reason for that block is just triggering that switch. If you actually take the time to take stock of the fact that you have a boomy and you have an explodable block, I think they expect you to figure out that you can. There is a reason for the boomy there, or there is an alternate path. This room, some usage of one of my favourite mechanics: sending an inflated moo on the path and just grabbing it as it goes past to get to higher and higher sections. I like it as a mechanic. It's strangely elegant. This puzzle is a bit tricky. Dump the moo over the switch there, and then toss the arrow block into it. No doubt you will have realised earlier in the game from screwing up that the arrow block will prematurely detonate a boomy. And here's the switch, it gets the blue key, and the blue key opens up the last section of the level. And this is one of, if not my favourite sequence of the game. Those two moves walking around there will step on the floor switches, which will open the doors, which we can then throw the boomy through. You notice the very long timer we've got on the boomy even. At the end of this path, this giant boomy obstacle course, is a breakable block. And that's the sole reason. That's the reason for the boomy being there. And I do like this sequence. Having an obstacle course of this length to take a boomy through is a fun idea that I would have liked to have seen done maybe once or twice more. The problem is that now we have the problem that without a boomy we can't get over that ledge to actually get back to the door, which I believe is why they provide you with a complete path back up to the top, knowing that you're going to be too stressed out by the time limit first time through to want to drop into that little moo and switch area to grab the last star for at least first time through. There is technically enough time, but it is a tight thing. So this is a fun little section. It's another one of those throw enemy and then do thing before enemy hits switch sections. Basic idea. So we use the move to get up here. And that, I think, is cruel. We have just enough distance on the flutter jump to open up the door. Really, it's another... Getting up there is just another case of grabbing an inflated enemy. And you just stand there, move hits the switch, and we're out. There's all the regular levels completed. Final boss time! First part of the boss, Julius will summon that kind of spiked pinwheel. And then it enters this kind of alternate dimension. The giant eyeball will summon its two hands. We can destroy them normally. And it's just a case of hitting the eye itself. As far as climactic boss fights go, it's pretty disappointing really, because it's not terribly hard. At least once you have the attack pattern down. And with the exception of these lightning bolts, which are massively telegraphed. It's really not a hard fight. This doesn't mean you won't die a few times before you actually have the pattern down, because I did. But really, its pattern never changes to a point where it's going to become difficult. Oh my god, it's a twist I would have never seen coming. So yep, and we are officially stealing a final boss gimmick from Daughter Phantom Isle with this constantly rotating final boss platform. The gimmick with Bagoo is that First of all, he is apparently made of clay. And secondly, he can only be hurt by... He can only be hurt once that mask is blown off. And that mask can only be destroyed by enemies of the same colour. So red, green, and blue, red, yellow, and blue moves will appear throughout the fight. When you throw a Moo of the wrong colour into him, it just re-randomises the mask colour. This can actually make the fight very tedious, because you're just constantly throwing moves at him, trying to get the right colour. Those coloured fireballs will change. Those coloured fireballs will change the colour of any moves nearby. This is probably his most annoying attack. Because when you're in the heat of battle and you're trying to focus on his mask colour and the moves and the fireballs, it can be very hard to see those little torpedoes forming at the bottom of the screen. Well, I think the theory of the fight is that you dodge moves and wait for them to become the right colour. Really, it's going to be less time consuming and a lot less dangerous to just keep throwing moves at him until you get lucky. That swooping attack's nothing special. It's pretty much telegraphed exactly the same as every other swooping attack we've seen in the game. He'll come in from the opposite side of the screen, and etc, etc. When he's down to his last bit of health, he does start to change his mask colour a lot faster. But it's over. It was just a dream. Again. Well, that is actually it for Empire of Dreams. It's been horrifying, quite frankly. But I'll leave you with this fine, jaunty music. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.